Compared to other age groups, during this age period it is easier to learn to kick, receive the ball, dribble, accelerate, decelerate, change direction, and jump. Such a limited time interval during growth and development is defined as a sensitive phase, during which every player is reacting with maximum intensity to particular external inputs, showing consequent effect. These drills, using low obstacles and ropes, can be used for improvement of coordination, speed, and quickness. Obstacles can be approached from in front, from the side, or by skip stepping. Training on low obstacles and cone-shaped markers require moderate physical effort, generally well tolerated by players, and increasing speed and rhythm can be adapted for a useful strengthening of the lower part of the body in particular. The variety of combination using obstacle, mini slalom or sprint forces the young players to link movement and decisions in progressively shorter time intervals with an increase in difficulty. Between one obstacle and the other, a fixed number of touches can be required, 1, 2, or 3, or variation can be introduced to make the drill more complex in skill or rhythm. Side passing with one leg allows a faster movement, creating a useful drill for speed development. The multiple touch between obstacles requires higher coordination and balance. It is therefore advisable to introduce it only at the end of the program. The single-leg obstacle passing allows further variety in possible solutions to keep the player's attention. During breaks, stretching exercises help to induce recovery of muscle elasticity. Skipping between low obstacles improves quick strength, a critical feature for any player. This should be included in training from the age of 10 or 11 onwards, with drills of increasing complexity. We want to emphasize again the importance of such specific drills for coordination. This is not an inborn quality, and it is only through long training of such a link between the central nervous system and skeletal muscles to achieve a specific movement that variable and difficult situations in soccer can be managed. Placing obstacle borders, the single movements used to pass each obstacle can be standardized, alternated, repeated, even increasing the degree of difficulty. Please remember that we are suggesting work on controlled programming of physical activities used in soccer on bodies that maintain an enormous store of learning potential. Avoiding an obstacle forces players to shift sideways, which is common during a match. In jump training, we can now introduce more complex patterns requiring deeper coordination between the step, the jump, and the landing. An obstacle can be approached from in front or from the side, or also with a half rotation of 180 degrees. It is always important to coordinate the use of upper limbs for the jump to be effective. Skipping on one leg requires a high degree of strength and coordination, and can therefore only be done by physically mature players. Obstacles can be overcome with no rotation at all or by performing a 90-degree rotation, allowing the player to overcome the obstacle in a forward direction. Front and side jumps can be arranged in various combinations. Enjoyable relay competition can be organized using obstacles and poles, in which every participant can face constant commitment and express maximum speed. Further variations can be introduced, such as direction changes, acceleration and slowdowns in order to maintain training variety and enjoyment. The use of obstacles, cones and ropes before using the ball will develop a coordinated athlete, which is the real basis of a good soccer player. Such an approach can be paralleled by preliminary use of the ball limited to the hands, which will increase the sensitivity of a young player. Besides an increase in sensitivity, these kind of movements are aimed at the introduction of coordination elements which seem apparently easy to build. There is a wide variety of hand movements with the ball with these drills, and it could certainly be extended. From our experience, we have verified the effectiveness of this approach with the ball, resulting in higher sensitivity, development of coordination, vision and handling capabilities, and also an easier transition to handling with the feet. In these drills, players must become fully involved and maintain great concentration while training in pairs with two balls. Any distraction could compromise the result of a drill. Players learn how to move in relation to their partner and to the ball, and introduce correct timing in their movements. The technical schemes proposed here will always be aimed at the achievement of high-level performance later on, but it must be clear that changes during the development phase of teenagers do not take place gradually but can appear both in quantity and quality as sudden steps. After the first approach, using the hands, we proceed to foot touch development. In particular, development of sole of the foot sensitivity is the very first step, to be followed by forward and side ball shifting, and by specific drills for each part of the foot. The combination of ball control movements with direction and element of feinting will further refine coordination capabilities. Once the feinting movement has been introduced and worked out, it is important for the player to develop proper timing and repetition to create a personal style. Bowling and shifting the ball using the sole of the foot is far less natural than using the inside, outside or instep of the foot, but is fundamental in the game. Poor ball control is not acceptable in a good soccer player. Good performance of such double ball coiling movement indicates an advanced capacity in fundamentals in both technique and coordination. Here are training movements which are less spectacular but closer to common game situations, as are the fundamentals of ball protection and rescue from the opponent's action range, raised arm, ball driven to the covered area. Now some elements of driving the ball and shifting more accurately with style and elegance. Progress in dribbling and driving are combined to improve sensitivity towards the ball itself. Performance is not easy under heavy pressure from the coach, but focusing on execution and a strong awareness can help strengthening of will, enabling the player to cope with hard challenges, also outside of the soccer field. Let the ball bounce and then enter with correct timing, first using the upper side of the foot, then the outside and inside in turn. It's a hard exercise to perform since it requires good coordination, sensitivity, and excellent timing to step in. Execution of the variations without bounce will measure the value and level reached in relation to the technical goals set by the coach. We recommend practicing with both legs, while players tend to use only the dominant leg. Stretching with the ball is always suggested, also to improve and to correct wrong positions. Raising and passing the ball this way could look useless for the game, but we believe it is to be aimed at acquiring a complete ball control as a starting point for the development of an all-round soccer player. The working method we suggest to acquire, improve and perfect the different techniques is that of proposing the drills in the form of competition and contests. Success is guaranteed since participation is greatly enhanced, fostering regular improvement of the technique level. The use of a wall is quite boring when suggested or imposed by the coach, but it is also true that each player, left alone with a ball in front of a wall, won't find anything better to do than kicking against it. It is undoubtedly an effective tool to introduce passing and simple juggling. The wall allows touching the ball repetitively with any part of the foot chosen by the player or suggested by the coach. We recommend alternating the use of the dominant leg with the other. We have experienced outstanding improvement following a homogeneous use of both legs at an early age compared to later training. The wall with high bouncing balls is often neglected, but we believe it to be important for the training of control of high-driven balls. The obvious lack of communication with the wall makes the kicking repetition quite boring and does not improve motivation. We therefore suggest the use of the wall only 2 or 3 times a month for no longer than 15 minutes. However, the players will often practice the skills they have learned here on their own at home. Again, an important function of the practice at the wall is the shaping of control and shooting both stationary and moving balls. Passing is communication in soccer. A pass to a partner accurate on the correct foot will ensure better understanding. The player will be concentrated, technically prepared, and have esteem for himself and for the teammate to which he is passing. In such conditions, it will be easy to handle timely even 2 balls with various technical approaches. This kind of training is intended to introduce an element of technical difficulty combined with the fundamentals of passing with a partner. We are approaching the match aiming at connecting each individual to his teammates. Problems can arise in this preliminary linking between individual technique plus pass plus receiving and control. It is important too for the coach to remark on improvement. Teenagers are able to self-evaluate, and so it is advisable not to linger on errors, but to put emphasis on a few good points to maintain their will to improve. These drills introduce the three-player connection, including the first principles of game distribution and position exchange. A short pass or a long one with interchange of positions are fundamental technical elements applied to tactics. The ball is being passed on the ground first, Then we have the inside foot cross, control and position changing, and then introduced as movement training. Before introducing more complex drills including 3, 4, 5 players, we suggest proposing hand passing with the same patterns that will be later performed using the feet. This approach allows memorization of patterns with less emphasis on control and greater emphasis on space and movement. Again introduced by hand passes, the figure 8 drill is very important as it allows young players to get used to diagonal passing. The receiver must handle the ball and pass again using a two-stepped right or left shot to his teammate. This later continues with one-touch passing. Notice that as the drill develops, we can get very close to the game-like action, this being the major objective. Correct use of the feet is important, as is the application of basic receiving, protecting and passing techniques, which in turn create better conditions for the receiver. Usual introduction with hand passing of the diamond drill. 5 players are interpassing the ball and changing places with correct order and timing. We recommend maximum attention and application of the techniques learned in the former lessons. As an active recovery drill, we propose some juggling practice, using the head in the specific case. We are now introducing a series of vertical passes, followed by the elementary passing to develop complex combinations with 8 players. The proposed pattern requires 8 players divided into 2 groups. Players are interchanging in vertical, horizontal and diagonal directions and have to handle 4 balls for each group. But most of all must show perfect synchronization, and this is the difficult element in the whole drill. Constant changes of position, accurate passes and strong concentration make this drill a must for a conditioning session, or at least for an aerobic workout. We believe it is suitable for introduction into all the training microcycles. These technical paths are aimed at joining technical, athletic, and concentration prerequisites in order to face basic obstacles in goal shooting that will be met more realistically during the match. Features, function, and importance of this kind of obstacles and paths are always worked out from theory and verified by means of training experiences on the field. The proposed sequence of drills is organized for easy and fast selection. The exercises shown have been recorded in a casual way so that everyday errors are evident. It is important to exploit the attitude of spontaneous learning which is typical of this age group by taking up a simple and gradual teaching method, patiently detecting progress. Driving elements, touch, overcoming obstacles and shooting can be organized in such a wide number of combinations that we decided to show a casual series of possibilities. At the beginning of training programs, we believe it is important for the coach to offer clear and specific suggestions for each drill. to the basic heading drill in the proposed series adds fluency to the drill circuit. As a matter of fact, uneven ball tossing, jump timing and heading touch are obviously affecting drill synchronization, but we must aim at maximum accuracy. Good performance of this drill will get us very close to complete control in the match. Correct use of the arms to protect, support or start the movement of kicking the ball is important for anticipation, balance and stability of the player. In turn, the relaxed arm works as a lead for the escape. These minor and apparently irrelevant details make the difference between a good and a mediocre player. It is fundamental to take good care of these postures and let your young players acquire them. Performance with the feet is apparently easier. These former elements of opponent anticipation are effective only if performed with sufficient speed and quality in ball handling. As essential condition for improvement of speed and movement execution, we recommend always demanding maximum concentration. Doubts on any action movement have to be considered normal, and the trainer has to be able to perform any action he's asking the young players to do. Excessive workload, dullness of exercises, and little understanding of a player's needs can also lead to damage of players' attitude towards performance. This kind of work centered on goal scoring is usually welcome and can relieve heavy training stress situations. The ability to convert goal scoring opportunities with ease in any situation is now a critical need, and so is training for the same purpose. Combinations on wide areas similar to those shown will bring fun, allow exchange of roles, and will make action during the match more natural. This kind of passes force players to cooperate, requiring them to respect moving patterns of teammates and to constantly maintain concentration for correct assessment of ball flight, speed, and position. Some basic rules are fundamental for correct training of soccer players. Participants must enjoy themselves during training sessions. Specific roles on the field should be as limited as possible. Players must take care of accuracy of movement to acquire fluent execution, but will allow results with less effort. Basic conditioning has to be maintained all the time. Confidence in scoring is obtained and improved through concentration and repetition in that order. Also, the ability to score with the help of a feinting by one of the teammates is enhanced through constant practice of spontaneous reactions. Each of these patterns of passing and covering will have to be trained on both the right and left side of the field. The braid-shaped passing allows joint organization of small groups with easy shifting and exchange, still leaving space to the initiative of each player in goal shooting and scoring. Coaching match planning of specific field actions and patterns is always important if you are eager to gain positive results with real opponents. Players get used to the language of a coach when they are constantly pushed. The so-called theme practice match is a good example of comprehensive training to shape players. Restrictions like head scoring, score on cross, 1, 2 or 3 touch limit, alternate short and long passing, chipped or low passing are positive objectives in order to reach better and more efficient tactical behavior. The practice match also gives the chance to review and verify the techniques learned in small groups and in limited space, while joining them in a team framework and against a real opponent. We conclude our short review of a range of practice drills making up our method. We wish you very successful coaching and hope that some of our proposals will prove to be as successful for you as they have been for us.